And now, a word from a sophisticated gamer. No! The immortal John Hancock here. We're here to talk about part 2 of PlayStation Greatest Hits. And I want to thank Game Rave. Game Rave has provided a master list that really encompasses everything you need to know about collecting for PlayStation. I get asked that a lot, and just want to do a shout out. That's the list that I use to compile this Greatest Hits collection. Though I looked on YouTube and there wasn't a video form of showcasing all the Greatest Hits games. And so here we go, part 2 of the Greatest Hits collection. And I'll point out ones that were kind of hard to find, or comments about it. So we got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And again, there's 3 main variations of Greatest Hits. You had discs that were clear, that didn't have any color, discs that had a black background, and discs that had white, that were white with black lettering. And so, yes, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. This one was hard to get. I had to search several online places to track one of these down. It sucked. It wasn't fun. Jeremy McGrath Supercross 98. Jet Moto. Jet Moto 2. Legacy Kane Soul Reaver. Great game. And you know the nice thing about these games is many of these games in these collection are good games. And I know that many out there, whether you collect and play, or just collect, or just play, this is a nice balance. And I know that a lot of people have a hard time with the aesthetics of Greatest Hits cases, or what they look like. For me, it's just knowing that if you collect these, the majority of them are good games. You may not like all the different types of games that these games are, but there's some good games in here. Like this one, Legend of Dragoon. Awesome game. Awesome game. Sometimes overlooked. You know, this one definitely was Sony's answer to Final Fantasy VII. And, you know, some people prefer this one. A lot of people like Final Fantasy VII. But it's a good game. Lost World Jurassic Park. Loaded. That's a good game. Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. Madden 98. This one was hard for me to track down. Some of these sports titles, and it's because nobody really cares. And that, you know, these were, you know, who is going to be collecting a 10-year-old sports title? 10? Did I just say 10? No. That's almost 20. Yikes. I'm old. Alright. Medal of Honor. It's a great game. Medal of Honor Underground. I like the first one better. Mega Man 8. Can't go wrong with the Mega Man game. Mega Man X4. Mega Man Legends. This is an awesome game. Metal Gear Solid. Can't go wrong with that. Monopoly. Mortal Kombat 4. I wasn't a big fan of this. You know, the earlier Mortal Kombats, but hey, it made a Greatest Hits. There we go. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. And Namco Museum Volume 1 and Namco Museum Volume 3. These are what I would call evergreen titles, and what evergreen titles are games that appear almost on every console, every system known to man. They're not on everything, but these games can be ported to anything, and they are ported to everything. NASCAR 98, NASCAR 99. Some of these sports titles, especially the ones by from EA, I had a hard time tracking down. The Need for Speed. Also, Road and Track presents Need for Speed. I put it under Need for Speed because all the other Need for Speeds are with it. So, that's that. Need for Speed 2. Need for Speed 3. Need for Speed High Stakes. Almost lost one. NFL Blitz. Can't go wrong with Blitz. Alright, stack these back up here. Chunk, ka-chunk. Alright, here we go. So, this next part, some of these are just hard to find, and because I think nobody really cares. You have NFL Game Day. That one was hard for me to track down. It's old. And then you had NFL Game Day 97, which another one hard to find. Again, if you find it, it probably shouldn't be worth much. But for people collecting that green greatest hits version, that's the funny thing is that sometimes the greatest hits version of a game, a lot of people don't know this, is actually the rare copy of it. Rare doesn't mean necessarily worth any money. It just is hard to track down, you know. Had to sell, I think a greatest hits had to sell 150,000 copies to be greatest hits. And so, you know, some of these games, they sold 150,000 copies and then the greatest hits version was made, but there isn't a lot of data on how many versions of the greatest hits were released versus the standard copies. And so for some of these games, they're just hard to find, whether how many copies made or not. It is what it is. NHL 98. NHL Face-Off. Again, some of these were pretty hard to find. NHL Face-Off 97. Again, we're going almost 20 years old sports copies. You know, these are the sports games typically, especially at like a retro store, they just sit. And so shelf space sometimes is more valuable than the space that these sports titles is taking up, and so that's why some of these are hard to track down. Nuclear Strike. Interesting thing to notice about Nuclear Strike is, you notice that's normal. If you see like there isn't a backside to that, that's supposed to be like that. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, great game. Pac-Man World. It helped Pac-Man World if the original Pac-Man was on it. Parasite Eve. This was a great game, and I haven't invested enough time into this, but I do want to beat it one day. Rainbow Six. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I have it under Rainbow Six. Rayman, great game. Ready to Rumble Boxing. Real Fishing. We got tons of Resident Evils. We got Resident Evil Director's Cut. Can't go wrong with Resident Evil. Such a classic series. The awesome Resident Evil 2. Of the classic Resident Evils, this is my favorite on PlayStation. Then Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Ridge Racer. Oh, love Road Rash. Great game. One of my favorites on the original PlayStation. Played that a lot. Road Rash 3D. Not a fan. Rocket Power Team Rocket Rescue. Not for me. The other favorite that I play all the time is Rugrats Search for Reptar. Again, there's some of these games mixed in. Just, I mean, for the set I got them, but I'm not going to be popping them in too much. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Silent Hill. And some of these games, even Greatest Hits versions, they're not cheap. So, again, I remember paying a little bit for Silent Hill because it's Silent Hill. Yeah. SimCity 2000. Kind of uncommon to find the Greatest Hits copy. Sled Storm. I was a fan of this game. Soul Blade. And the last of part 2 is Soviet Strike. So, comment below. Thank you for all the viewers watching this. Comment below, what is your favorite greatest hits of this list that I've talked about. And next week, stay tuned because I will be doing part 3. Again, this is the immortal John Hancock, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.